Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Dan. We say that the sea area around Sri Lanka is 8 times bigger than our land area. And the sea is rich in many living and non-living resources. So to harness these resources, we got to do it in a very sustainable manner. This morning, I have with me Dr. Turney Pradeep, who is the Director General of Marine Environment Protection Authority, or what we call in common MEPA. He's a marine ecologist attached to University of Ruhuna, and he's a professional diver at dive master level. And today's topic is on illegal fishing and effects to ocean resources. Good morning and welcome, Turney.
Good morning, Dan.
Let me start our conversation by asking you, what sort of fishery is seen in Sri Lanka?
Actually, at present in Sri Lanka, we can think about two major sort of fishing methods. First one is coastal fisheries, and the second one is offshore fisheries. In addition to that, we can discuss about something in inland fisheries. So yeah, all the lakes and reservoirs are based. In coastal fisheries, lots of people used canoes and lots of stilt fishing and cast netting and gill nets. But if you go to offshore fisheries, we use trolling and larger gill nets. At the same time, sometimes people use bobbing also. That's the area we definitely should concern of. Therefore, the coastal fisheries and offshore fisheries are two different entities. In offshore fishery, we can again observe big tuna trolling. So one troll net is about at least 1 or 2 square kilometers in size. We can easily accommodate big 747 jumbo jets, 5 or 6 jumbo jets into one single troll net. Such a huge and such a vast areas they scan and scrap at one single fishing operation. So coastal fishery is some sort of small scale. Offshore fishery is a larger scale commercial fishery, and the boats we are using in offshore fishery, again, they are very much equipped even with some processing plants. They catch fish and at the same time process it and can it in the ocean and send the canned fish version to the coast. And on the other hand, the coastal fishery is mainly based on small scale fishers and small level. At the same time, they are big poor when compared to offshore fishers. So therefore, the two areas are two completely different. So multinational companies engage in offshore fisheries. Therefore, we can easily distinguish coastal fisheries and offshore fisheries in as two different entities of fisheries in Sri Lanka. That's marine. And if you go to inland fisheries, again, you can, as I mentioned, in tanks and lakes and reservoirs with small gill nets, pole and lines, and again with small canoes, very small, and those are almost aquacultured fish. So those are three main areas we can observe in Sri Lankan waters. In addition to that, in some rivers and lake and streams, people use small hand netting or pole and line, very low sustainable sort of fisheries.
We say that the Indian Ocean fish are much tastier than any other ocean fish found, and fish is one of the main nutrients of human life, and also it's a livelihood for the fishermen. Now, considering fishing as perhaps as a hobby as well as a livelihood, what are the traditional fishing methods and modern methods used in fishing?
Actually, as you mentioned, 80% of our protein comes from fish. Only 20% goes to other animals and poultry and others. Therefore, the fisheries and fish is one of the major resource for Sri Lankans. And it's a well-known fact that, as I mentioned earlier, the Indian Ocean fish are very much higher in taste, and because of the water quality and the water parameters prevalent in around the country. At the beginning, Sri Lankan fishermen, they used jute or cotton woven nets in very early days, and at the same time they used cast netting and again pole and line. Those are the most traditional fishing methods we used. In addition to that, we used hand collection methods and fish traps and spearing from the shore. So those are major traditional methods we used. But with the mechanical development, we were introduced gill nets, especially monofilamentous gill nets and again nylon gill nets. That's the time we moved from traditional to type of commercial. We start exploiting more, because in the traditional fishing we always used very primitive methods and there was no such pressure on the resources. But when we go into more commercial or more commercialized fishing, then we started extracting more fish and with very small time and with very high efficiency. Then at that time we started damaging the environment, at the same time damaging the fish and marine resources. So when we go to that side, we introduce gill nets, bottom set gill nets, floating gill nets, and again trolling, and again light courses, surrounding nets we call purse seine. So all these things introduced by scientists expecting higher fishing catches, but they never thought that the fish amount in the ocean is someday is exploited completely. They thought that there's unexploitable amounts are remaining in the ocean. That's what people thought, but it's not. It's totally wrong. So that's the main step we put into the commercial fisheries, and as the main step we started destroying our environment and destroying our fish stocks and whole biodiversity in the ocean.
Sri Lanka has a big issue with Indian illegal fishing. Actually, in that area in the north or northwestern, traditional fishing took place between Sri Lankan and Indian fishermen. But now commercial fishermen have intruded into these areas, and therefore this issue has become a national and international problem for both countries. Why fishermen switch to these modern methods?
Because as you mentioned earlier again, the Pork Bay, where our fishermen, and there's a conflict area for Indian fishermen and Sri Lankan fishermen. The area is so covered or very protected area from Indian continent and again Sri Lankan northwestern coast, and confined water and very low depth compared to the other Indian Ocean, because the maximum depth goes up to 12 to 14 meters and water is turbid. You can't find any tuna there. All are very mackerel type of or spreads or small anchovies. Those sort of fish are living there. And if you think about the fishermen in Jaffna and North here, they are very much traditional. They use small canoes, they have stake nets, they have fish traps, very small scaled fishing gears they used. But when they switch from that to trolling, because India introduced trolling fishing methods to Indian trawlers, in the fishermen. Then they started trolling first Indian waters. Then they troll everything into zero, almost zero. Then they passed our IBL, International Boundary Line, because the resources were almost intact because of the war. They trespass into our waters, start scrapping our resources. It's totally illegal and unethical. Therefore, we should think about first our our fishermen in northern areas, very poor fishermen. At the same time, we should think about our resources, because when they troll, they scrap all the sea bottom. So sea bottom is in those areas totally covered by sea grasses. You know, sea grasses are cradle for all the fisheries, because all the fish, they start their life among sea grasses. Once you remove sea grasses, means we completely destroy their basement. So that's what is happening in the northern and Pork Bay region and again in north area and little bit of northwestern region. So there they mainly use trolling, bottom trolling, and Indian side they are banned. Sri Lanka, we have just banned bottom trolling. Is completely illegal, and they completely destroying our resources. Not destroying, they are stealing our resources. That's completely bad.
This morning I'm joined by Dr. Turney Pradeep, Director General of Marine Environment Protection Authority. What do you mean by illegal fishing or illegal methods of fishing?
Because with the time, the Sri Lankan policymakers, they understood that these fishing methods, all fishing methods are not suitable to operate in our waters. So they understood that there should be a limit. Then through Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Act number 2 of 1996, they first listed some fishing gears as prescribed fishing gears. So if you want to use that fishing gear, definitely you should take a permission from the Minister of Fisheries. There are about 17 fishing gear types. Even Mardel, the beach scene, comes under that fishing gear, the prescribed list. We can tell about trolling, and again trammel nets, gill nets, fish traps, stake nets, whatever. There are 17 types of fishing gears. If you want to operate that, then you have to take a permission from the proper permission from the Minister of Fisheries, because they want to control it through this permit method. Then they banned several fishing gears, completely banned in our Sri Lankan waters. First one is dynamiting. This completely banned. And usage of push net. Troll net is dragging and scraping the bottom. Through push net, you push the same sort of equipment and again taking the top layer out. Push net completely banned. And harpooning mammals, shooting from big ships and killing mammals, that's completely banned. And moxinet. Moxinet is a kind of small net, almost similar version of the mosquito net, about 1 meter height in height. So moxinet is used in ornamental fish collection. So when a fisherman, when he swims or snorkel on the water surface, first he target a fish, and then the fisherman chase the fish. The fish swim and at the end hide in a small coral colony or hide in a small rock. The fisherman again dive and cover that rock by this net called moxinet. Then he insert a small iron bar and break that coral piece or coral colony into small pieces. Then that poor fish ultimately end up in the net. So if you want to catch one fish, they destroy one single coral colony, living coral colony. So it's totally destructive. Therefore, the moxinet is banned. And then we have trammel net. Trammel is a 3-layered net. In either side we have a larger gill side net. At the center we have a smaller gill type net. It's 3-layered, very efficient. So trammel is banned. And monofilamentous net, using very small, very transparent fibers. You can't even see, if you swimmer, you can't see the monofilament net if you are in the water. Such transparent and very effective. And it not only entangle fish, it cut fish because of the very thin and sharpness of the monofilaments. And the final one is the spear fishing. So those are banned fishing gears in Sri Lankan waters. But still, if you go to the coastal areas and if you look around, you will still see some fishermen are using these fishing gears, especially spear guns and moxinets. They are still in use. So therefore, although there's a ban there, we should have some sort of mechanism to the properly implement those rules and regulations we are having, because we have tools to control it. The problem we are having is the implementation process. For example, all these illegal gears are operated in offshore or in the water. If inspector, government inspector goes to detect this or catch them, and if he can't swim and if he is not fit in the sea, so he can't follow these fishermen and catch them. That's one of the main obstacles we are facing at the moment. Sri Lanka is an island nation, and we expect all Sri Lankans should be good swimmers. But if you check the newspapers, if you check the media, you can identify how many people die by drowning. So it's a shame, to Sri Lankan. So we are not exactly identified the resources we are having around the country, our ocean, and we are not exactly using it in a proper manner, and we are not exactly understood how we can use it even for recreational work. Because if you go for a dive, if you go for a snorkel, if you go for a swim, you can enjoy a lot. But instead, from our parents, from our childhood, our parents, they stop us going to the sea and explore the areas, thinking about we will be die by drowning someday. So that's wrong. So because of that, people tend to use the sea in unwanted way, those illegal fishing methods. So they always go to sea for the fish, and even for fish they go for unwanted fishing or illegal fishing gears, because these fishing gears are so efficient. In a very short time you can kill millions of fish, because dynamiting is banned, completely banned. But if you blast dynamite in one single place, the effect goes through the water, at least covering one single square kilometers. That single blast kill all the planktons, all the the fish eggs, and all the animals in one square kilometers area. And the fish just closed by dynamites are blast into pieces, right? Therefore the damage is so devastating. And in one of the international forum, one of the fisheries expert, he came and mentioned that you dynamite the ocean means is almost same like you are dynamiting a kindergarten, because we kill our future, we destroy our future. So still dynamite is again still in used in some places. So therefore we can easily categorize these as illegal and prohibited fishing gears, but somehow we have to stop it to zero, because we have banned them for a reason, because we have to exploit these resources in a sustainable way, and at the same time we have the right and we have the duty to gift these resources for future generations. So if you continue with those unsustainable fishing methods, it means at the end what we are going to do is we extract the last fish, try to extract the last fish and give a dead or just a water column to our future generations. That's where we went wrong.
Yes, in the recent past, we saw, due to the illegal manner in which our fishermen used to fish, Sri Lanka earns a larger quantity of foreign exchange through our fish exports to, say, European Union, for example. And the European Union, in turn, banned and they introduced certain sanctions against Sri Lanka for using these illegal methods of fishing. Now, illegal fishing, on one hand, causes threats to human health, like the use of dynamites that can cause many effects on human health, and on the other hand, on the marine environment as well, because like you said, when you use the netting process, a lot of juveniles are being caught, and then that destroys the future of the fish. So considering these damages, could you explain the effects of damage that these illegal fishing can cause to the marine environment?
So if I take the spear fishing, in the spear fishing we always target the top predators, and those are very much charismatic big species. In the ocean and any environment, there's a balance between all the diversity. If you remove the top predators, means there are unwanted species at the lower level, they can take the advantage and they can explode, or they can produce into larger quantities. That cause a phase, we call phase shift in the ecosystem. So this is not totally not a good thing. For example, if I take example again from the sea areas, if you remove otters from a kelp forest, so otters, they sometimes feeding on sea urchins. Sea urchins are grazing animals on the bottom. So when you remove otters by selective fishing, for example, selective fishing like moxinating, the spear fishing, so then when you remove otters, means then there's no predators for sea urchins. Then sea urchins spread fast and increase their numbers in no time, in months time. So when we have hundreds of sea urchins in the area, they start scraping the bottom, and they start scraping the kelp, the trunks at the very bottom. Those are called holdfasts. They start. So when you scrape the holdfast, you completely remove the whole kelp thallus or kelp tree from the area. So ultimately all the kelp forest vanish, because first you remove the otters, then you allow sea urchins to spread, and again sea urchins did the whole scraping and remove all the vegetation. Ultimately the total area become a barren ocean bottom. So that's why I mentioned, if you remove those top predators, that change the ecosystem balance. The one hand, if you think about push net and trolling, they, as I mentioned you earlier, those nets scrape the bottom. It takes the all bottom animals, for example, bottom dwelling worms or mollusks or cowries or whatever, sea urchins, sea cucumbers, at the same time some fish. So if you think about the push net and bottom trolling bycatch is the unwanted catch. It's about 70% of bycatch. Only 30% of the fish or shrimp we want. Again, the 70% of fish is larger to small size. So therefore we destroy everything. So push net and trolling, killing the environment and completely damage the environment. And gill nets and trammel nets are 3-layered nets, very efficient. So it kills the whole school of fish. It takes the fish out. And when you have a larger trammel nets, length in kilometers, you can encircle a whole village from one single net. So you take everything out from one single net. And moxie net, we discussed how moxie net destroy corals and the dynamiting. All damage our ecosystem in very unpredictable and unprecedented levels. Therefore, definitely we have to stop it. And if we allow them to happening for a longer time, definitely you know that there won't be any marine diversity we can think of and we can see for the future.
Now we know that there are several international laws that have come into effect with regard to illegal fishing, and also locally in Sri Lanka we have enacted several laws. But do you think that these regulations would alone avoid illegal fishing?
Dan, we had UN ban. That was the main obstacle we had for our fish export recently. So to lift that ban, we had to do a lot. We had a big list to be done. So I'll mention two things. First thing is that we had to stop all deep sea fishing, offshore fishing in other territories. So what we did was we amended the Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Act, and we imposed heavy fine rates, several millions, or again then the 5 times the amount of catch, the fine rate, or you can even take the boat back. And again we stopped oceanic and pelagic shark species. So those are the very recent actions we took to stop those illegal fishing happen in deep waters, just to lift that UN ban. But still now we are working for that. And again we introduced VMS system, vessel monitoring system, because our vessels, they are not operating in Sri Lankan waters. They even go to Madagascar, Diego Garcia, and even Red Sea, Persian Gulf, and again Maldivian waters. They roam the whole Indian Ocean. To stop that, the Minister of Fisheries, they installed a satellite system. Then they can see all the movement of the ships, the fishing boats. Again to regulate the boat movements, and again to follow the instruction given by EU, and not only Sri Lanka, all other countries, they had to follow these regulations because these are worldwide agreed norms. So that's one thing we can do to control those illegal fishing. And Sri Lankan context, we have lots of regulations, we have lots of acts to control it with fines. The issue is the implementation. For example, the killing of dolphins are completely illegal in Sri Lanka, banned. But still you can find people kill dolphins. So several months ago, a boat caught in Mirissa with dead dolphins, killed with nicely cut to be sold, those dolphin meat, and that was produced to the magistrate, and the fine was around 20,000 to 30,000. That's the area we are really lacking. Scientists, we can't actually value a life of a living being, but for scientific purposes, scientists has valued the life of dolphin, the service the dolphin giving to us, as $2 million for one single dolphin, natural service and functions he is doing in the animal is doing in the ocean. $2 million. But when you kill the dolphin, the fine is about 20,000, 30,000 range. So the information link lacking is that in the judiciary system, that the scientific information or biological information, so oceanographical information is not really passed into the lawmakers and the judiciary system, because they see those problem from another angle. So that's why I proposed that we should have some sort of environmental judiciary system, a separate system to put all the environmental case into a separate judiciary system in Sri Lanka. It's a must, I think, for the moment, because the judges and lawyers, they should know about these environmental issues very clearly, and how much the damage they are doing and the gravity of the damage they are doing, because the damage they are doing it not for the present situation, even for the future generation the damage exists. Therefore we should have such a program to be implemented in the country, and at least we should start discussing even now, at least now. And again, the awareness. Through awareness you can do a lot, because lots of people, they say that they don't know about it. Again, it's wrong, but that's the main thing. And through awareness you can do a lot, even from a school level, small kindergarten level. We can start awareing people about the value of the environment, how it helps us, how much we depending on our environment. Even though environment is not depending on us, we are depending on the environment. So why should we leave it for the future generations, how the whole planet is depending on the environmental functions and services. So that sort of awareness we should at least do. It's happening at the moment, but my idea is we should do it even from the grassroots level, means at kindergarten or grade 1 to 3, those level, to teaching students about the importance of the environment. And the third area we are lacking is the information received for the regulatory bodies. For example, police. So they don't receive enough information from the society. So if somebody heard dynamite blast, they don't know to whom they should be informed. We have 119 lines, but those are still not functional. People are not using it. They are using it for their domestic purposes. But in the case of the national service, they are a bit reluctant to do it. And again, how efficient those information received to the regulatory bodies is somewhere we are lacking. And on the other hand, to track these people, so you should have a very much trained staff. The manpower improvement is very much needed, and infrastructure, because other countries, they even use satellites to monitor all these ship movements and dynamite or whatever illegal fishing movements. And again, from the especially when the fishermen, when they troll the bottom, so the ocean color changes. From satellites you can observe it, the boat track and where they trolled. So those sort of information and technology is used by other countries, but Sri Lanka, we are still very behind using those technologies. So from this system, I think we can, if we can efficiently, if we implement these systems, I think we can do something to stop this illegal fishing, and again make some sort of safeguard to our environment. So for that, the government, private sector and the public all has the same stake. We all act responsibly. We should know what we have to do, because before that we have to aware. We should not wait until somebody comes and tell you. We should self-aware about these issues, and all should understand their duty, and all should get together and act towards to save the planet, because that's at present the whole world is talking about save the planet. So in Sri Lanka also, regarding marine fisheries or inland fisheries or whatever thing, we all should be in line with that, because if you don't take this step at this moment, the world, our planet, will be in big jeopardy someday.
Now, assessing the damage caused to the ocean environment is based on a very objective criteria, as you mentioned. It's otherwise difficult to physically assess the effects of these damage in terms of futuristic manner. In order to restore the marine environment, is it possible really to restore this damaged marine environment, including the living resources such as fish?
If you think about a small tank or reservoir, inland reservoir, you can think about restoring the ecosystem back by doing something, by restocking fish or just replanting things. But think about the whole ocean. The ocean is a huge water body. It covers about 97 about a two-thirds of our planet's surface, and it contains about 97% of the water we are having in the ocean. It's a huge. So you can't have a limit for that, because but you can give a try. So what you can do is, for example, if you want to restore coral reefs by the damage by those dynamiting, you can easily do some coral transplanting. Is done in other countries. But at present the issue is that the coral transplanting is becoming a failure because of the climate change. Again, man-induced issue, environmental issue. So coral transplanting for a short time is okay, but long term, when you think about longer term prospects, because of the climate change, coral transplanting has not shown any good results at the moment. And on the other hand, people can switch from the coastal fisheries into coastal aquaculture. Aquaculture is, again, it has some bad impacts, but still you can switch into coastal aquaculture. And restocking of fish into the ocean, because we breed them artificially, and again restocking them, the small fry, into the ocean. But the best thing we can do is we can declare some areas as marine sanctuaries, marine protected areas, or marine reserves. So then what we do is, in those areas we stop everything. Even scientists, we also can't go there. Scientists can't go there. If a scientist go there, they have to take a proper permission. So we restore and we declare some areas as no take zone, so a marine protected area, and no fishing, no tourism in this area. Just let it be there. So then we expect the fish and other marine resources will naturally regenerate into the level maximum. Then from that place they send fish out. So this place acts as a source point to provide live fish to other areas. So at last our ocean conference held 2 weeks ago in Malta, Guinea country, the minister declared about 30% of its ocean area into a marine protected area. 30% of its ocean area he declared as a marine protected area. So he has a very good vision, because from that 30%, when he protects that 30%, he can do fishing in, not illegal, but do fishing in that 70% areas he can do fishing. But that 30% of area, it supply fish to that 70% of the other rest of the area. They breed, allow breeding, and supply fish to that area. So those are the things people can do. But regarding the restoring the marine environment, the efforts Sri Lankans has taken is very much less, and it takes time, and everything is larger scale, and it takes so high amount of funding or that support is needed. And we should have a proper scientific background, because I have seen lots of people that they try to restore seagrass beds and coral reefs with some funding, but without any scientific background, just as whatever NGOs, whatever. So if you do that without a proper scientific background, you are not restoring it, but you are again destroying, because everything is in the ocean is science based. So these are things at present we have to think about and discuss very clearly, and pass these messages to our policy makers and the top level. And if we get that blessing, definitely I think we can do something to restore this area into natural conditions. But without we doing something to the nature, what we have to do is let them bloom by itself, by declaring those more areas into no take zone, or no fishing zone, or more more protected areas. That's the main message I can give you at this moment.
Now, your government statutory body, which is the Marine Environment Protection Authority, is known as the watchdog of marine environment in Sri Lanka. And you being the Director General, I understand that there is a national symposium to be held next week. Could you explain about that?
Thank you, Dan, for that's nice opportunity I got, because from next Monday, Tuesday, is 16th and 17th of October at BMICH. Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Mahal Development and Environment has organized a 2-day exhibition and a big function to aware people about blue-green economy. Blue means ocean development, green means land development. So how we can use blue-green concepts to develop our economy for future generations. If you come to BMICH within these 2 days, there's a lot of activities, scientific symposium, film festivals, dialogue forums, and again youth forums. You can engage, you can stay in the BMICH premises for 2 days and you can learn and you can contribute a lot. Therefore, I take this opportunity to invite all Sri Lankans, come to BMICH and stay with us, learn about the ocean, learn about the environment. Learn about what is this blue-green concept and how we can apply this concept into our day-to-day life. And that's why I really want to invite all listeners to come and join us. On 17th, the whole day, we conduct the 3rd Marine National Symposium at the same premises. About 25 papers are presented with lots of new scientific knowledge about marine science. You can come and join us. You can listen what are the theory parts or whatever the findings are presented. You can contribute. You can learn. You can meet people. You can make links. It's a very good opportunity. So therefore, I take this moment to invite all the ocean lovers, all the environment lovers, and in general all the general public to come and join with us at BMICH on 16th and 17th, next Monday and Tuesday, and stay with us and help the government and help us to restore and help you a better blue-green environment for a future.
In today's Coffee with Dan, I was joined by Dr. Turney Pradeep, Director General of Marine Environment Protection Authority, or what we call MEPA, and we were discussing about illegal fishing and effects to ocean resources in Sri Lankan waters. Thank you very much, Turney, for joining this morning with all your heavy workload, and nice to be with us in Coffee with Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Beauty.
Go back to the studios and let's meet on Friday with another Coffee with Dan. Thank you for listening.